I'm joined now by the most authoritative voice on San Diego section basketball, Mr. Aaron Burgin. Aaron, you can be followed. First of all, you can be followed on Twitter at FulltimeHoops1.
You got it.
And your website is?
It's a really long URL. Just look up Full-Time Hoops on Google. You'll be able to find it.
No one sees as much San Diego section basketball as you do. How many games do you think you see a year?
Man, I think I'd see probably anywhere between 50 to 75 games a year. I'm out 2 to 3 times a week. I'm out on the weekends catching games. Let's just say it's a lot more than my wife would like.
Yeah, you're watching a lot of good basketball because we have 8 teams, 2 games away from Sacramento. Pretty impressive year, has it been not?
It's been a great year for San Diego Hoops, both on the girls and the guys side. And it's really a continuation of a trend that really started last year when we had a number of high-level players, high-level teams breaking through to that CIF semifinal area, especially in that open division, which has usually been the domain of the southern section teams.
Right. So, like, we have a lot of teams playing beyond their seeding.
Yes.
Is that because San Diego section doesn't get the respect it deserves, or is it just impossible to seed so many teams from so many different places?
You know what, it's a little bit of both. I think that the seeding has been, kind of mystified for so many years. And, I talked to CIF today, just talking a little bit about how it's done. You've got your 8 open division winners. Then, of course, you have all of your at-large decisions, and then you've got your your division title winners. So all of that is just like this mismatch of seeding and guys having to make sure that players aren't, teams aren't playing, way up in Clovis in the first round. So you've got all those things going on. It's a lot.
Bottom line, if we keep winning like we are, the seedings are going to start coming our way.
And they're going to have to give us the respect that we deserve.
All right, so the All-CIF team was announced over the weekend, 10 first teamers. I picked the 5 that would play for me. I want you to look at this monitor right here. I'll show you a kid. You tell me something I don't know about him. We'll start with Mr. Jalen Hands. Jalen
Hands, I'll tell you what, top 40 game at the CP3 camp as an 8th grader. He wasn't invited to go to see UNC. He wasn't considered one of the top prospects there. He's a McDonald's All-American now.
Yes. Mr. Samuels from Vista.
Taurus Samuels, little do people know, 4.4 GPA. Probably one of the smartest kids you'll ever meet.
And then our player of the year, we'll talk a little bit more about that, Mr. Cherry from St. Augustine.
Tayshawn Cherry, actually I'm going to give both, Tayshawn and Miles Norris have been best friends since they were kids. They darn near look alike.
and we have them coming up back to back. Was the Norris kid the surprise of the year, or did you see him come from?
Norris is a really known commodity on the grassroots circuit, a 5-star prospect. He's just had a really huge year.
And then coming up after Mike will be the big kid from Cathedral Catholic. Talk about, why did Cathedral win more with McCoy in the lineup?
I mean, it's just a lot of things. I think it was, they didn't have a ton of talent around him. And, with all of the attention that he had on, with defenses collapsing on him, he really did need the talent around him to elevate themselves. And it just really didn't happen this year.
All right, so you were in the room when Player of the Year is being chosen, correct?
Yes,
we had a kind of little Oscar moment, if you would. When the first ballot came out, who was going to be the Player of the Year?
Player of the Year was going to be Jalen Hands. It was a 6-2 vote in favor of Jalen Hands.
So then a second vote was taken.
Yep.
And the Player of the Year in 2016, 17 is?
Tayshawn Cherry from St. Augustine.
How did that happen? Explain to us the backroom cooking.
So you had the 8 voters cast their vote, and it was 6-2 without any discussion. St. Augustine's coach, Mike Haupt, who was one of the members of the voting board, was a little upset about that. He said, guys, we haven't really discussed this at all. Let's have some discussion. The discussion basically ensued, and he stated his case. No one else really said anything, and another vote took place, and it was 2-6. Myself, I was one of the 2 voters who voted for Jalen both times.
So did they get it right?
I honestly don't think so. I mean, I think that you couldn't go wrong with a player that was the best player on the Open Division Championship team, but when you have a McDonald's All-American who took a very mundane group of players at Foothills Christian and elevated them to the levels that he did. National division winner at Torrey Pines, making it to the CF Open Division, a state playoff appearance with the players that were around him. I think you have to honor that.
Okay, so we just did the drill, but our Title IX round here. So we're going to talk about the All-CIF team of the girls. This is my All-CIF team for the girls.
All right.
Play with me. We'll go to the monitor. Same drill. What do I not know about Destiny Littleton?
That she might be the best girls basketball player we've had in the state of California.
Where's she going to play at college now?
We don't know. Actually, I just had a chance to talk to Marlon Wells, her AAU coach, and her high school coach. He said Tennessee has reached out and she's reopened her commitment.
Quickly on Aguirre here.
One of the best shooters I've ever seen. She's headed to Yale.
And Haley McCoy from Mission Hills also makes it my 3-guard offense.
3 guards. I mean, and she's a junior. She'll be back next year. One of the better 2-way players in the section.
And then the daughter of an NBA great, Kayla Rooks.
Of course, daughter of former NBA, the late Sean Rooks, and her brother Cameron's at UC Berkeley as well.
And then Styles, tell us about her.
Man, Birdie, Alasia Styles, 6'2", just a versatile wing type, does a lot of really good things. I mean, she's one of the better girls players, not only in our section, but also the state as well.
All right, getting back to Destiny Littleton, the fact that she's reopened her, for those who don't know, USC fired their coach. Beth Burns is on the staff there. Most people think the reason why Destiny went to USC or committed to the USC is because of Beth Burns. The fact that Destiny has opened it up, does that suggest that maybe Beth Burns is not going to get the gig there, or is?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of, the coaching situation is definitely in flux, but I also think that, Cheryl Cooper did have a big to do with that. And, not having that, WNBA champion, that Hall of Famer that there, also, I think plays a role into it.
That's a job that's going to attract anybody who's got credentials.
It's one of the greatest jobs in the country.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, you are so popular and you're a force on Twitter and whatnot. It has to do with, there's this burgeoning market of people are very interested in how kids get from high school to college.
They are.
And you have all the all-star camps and whatnot, and schools that come on, basketball academies, prep schools, whatever you want to call them. The day when I grew up, it was 5 guys in the same neighborhood who went to the same school, and maybe they won a state title or something. That era of basketball is over forever, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, I think that there's just a dynamic, like you said, the popularity of the recruitment process. The kids are under a constant microscope. I think the other change is that kids are wanting to play with higher caliber talent, so they're seeking out private schools. They're seeking out some of these prep schools, some of which have great reputations, others not so much. And then, of course, you have the whole, like you said, the camps, all of those different things that come into play. I think there are good examples, and I also think there are some troubling examples.
How kids are getting exploited.
Exactly. Whether it be exploitation or whether it just be kids playing so many games year round. It can't be healthy for kids.
Well, before we let you go, we have to turn our attention a little bit to the Mesa. It's a weird day to not have San Diego State in at least the NIT.
Wow, yeah.
I think back of when TJ Leaf was being recruited and San Diego State was one of the schools that he was considering. What is it going to take for Rocky Long or Coach Fisher to land that 5-star kid who grows up in San Diego, and you can understand why he wants to go away for college, but how do you keep him on the Mesa?
You know what? I think the success that they had, that run that they had, really resonates with the crop of players that are coming up now. And I think it's not a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when they get it. And in 2018, they've got an excellent chance either at Miles Norris, Tayshaun Cherry, or Warren Washington, who are 3 of the bigger names in that class statewide. But, we just have to wait and see what happens with those guys. They're being courted by a number of suitors. Pac-12, Mountain West, everybody's after those guys.
Aaron, this was your TV debut. Did you enjoy it?
Man, this was painless.
Why don't we do it again sometime?
I'm available.
All right. We'll talk to your agent. Well, he's in tight with a lot of important people.